Hello, thanks for attending this presentation on gifted girls. Unfortunately, we have a lot of progress that needs to be made on this road to success. Today we're going to talk about where we are and where we need to go. Listed here are the characteristics clearly associated with girls that are identified gifted. Gifted characteristics present themselves in different ways in girls than they do in boys. There are some that overlap both genders, but typical characteristics for girls have been brought to the forefront that are predominant for the female gender in this presentation. Problems tend to accelerate through each grade level. There's a gradual decline through the years for girls to aspire for academic achievement versus social acceptance. According to Post, young gifted girls embrace learning with a burning drive and passion. For the most part, they delve into elementary school with confidence, excitement, and energy. They love school until they don't. The problem with that is that society does not reinforce the notion that girls are able to perform as well as their counterpart. Consequently, girls buy into that and start to prove society's ideology as correct. Adults associated with them turn their focus onto psychological, emotional concerns versus academic enrichment. Regrettably, these are the negative effects of girls from either too high of expectations or lack of confidence of them being able to achieve higher. Next, we're going to listen to an 11-minute video clip of 3 girls identified at my school and their thoughts on challenges they are faced with. All right, so I'm here with Saran, Kylie, and Kalani. Saran and Kylie are in 5th grade here at College Park, and Kalani is in 3rd grade. And I'm talking to them about problems with being a girl and being identified gifted. So we were having a great conversation on the way down, and you were talking about how boys are looked at differently. So explain that to me again.
There are people like Mary Jackson and Katherine Johnson who were very great, but were looked down upon just because of their gender. And so people didn't believe them until some boys tried and they didn't do it, but then they used the girls' method and it worked, but girls were looked down upon for a while until not too long before I was born.
Okay, so do you think that makes you feel pressure?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel pressure?
When boys think they are really stronger than girls because they have more intelligence and because they think they're faster and they're better.
Okay.
And because they're mostly used, they think they're really better at sports. And
what about in school with academics?
School, I think the boys think girls can be better at things, but boys are better at sport. But I think if boys and girls try, they can still. Boys could be good at math and that stuff, and girls can be good at sports.
Okay.
Not looked down.
So in 5th grade, there are 3 girls identified and 2 boys. So that's a good balance. In 4th grade, there are 4 boys and 1 girl. What do you think about that?
Well, it's like, I feel like people will look differently on how you look and how you act, because just because you're tall or short doesn't mean you're not good at certain sports, because sometimes you have an advantage of like what you are, and then people think you need to fit in to be like them and have friends, but you can just be yourself. And same with boys, like they think, oh, if you want to play this sport, you have to be as good as us, but then the girls might be actually better than them. They're like, oh no, you can't be on the team, even though you know you are slightly better than them or just as equal as them.
All right, but in school, when we're talking about academics, you were talking about how someone in your class thinks that they're smarter, and it's a boy, and we don't need to mention his name, but
he will remain anonymous.
okay, and
But he always likes to try to be smarter than the teachers. He likes to show off and just tries to be better than everyone. He always finishes his work faster and is like, "Woo, I'm done, and then makes really weird noises, making it hard to concentrate.
and you were talking to me earlier about how it is a challenge for you, Kylie. Remember what we were talking about earlier? What were you saying?
Well, like, I don't
The
get
teachers, like how?
I don't get some things because no one's perfect and no one knows everything. But there are just people who will just take away from your learning so that it will make it really hard. And so the teachers, and they'll get behind while the other people are ahead. So the teachers will have to go and deal with them instead of dealing with the people who need it.
We were talking about teacher expectations, is what we were talking about this morning. You said it was a challenge that you feel teachers expect more out of you.
Because when you're identified, the teachers expect you to be able to go above and beyond. But in subjects like math, I'm just normal. But there are certain subjects like science and social studies that I excel in rather than others. But every teacher expects a gifted person to be very well-rounded, especially from ladies, because they supposedly won't have as many things to do in the evenings because of
I think that whenever a teacher sees that they think you're gifted, but they might not know, and they think you should be better at math, social studies, and all of them. But what about that you got gifted for science or math, so they think you should be better at all of them, except math a little bit better? Or what about if you're really good at math, but you're really not really good at social studies?
Okay. So I told you that there were 4 boys that were identified and 1 girl in 4th grade. In 3rd grade, where you are, it's a good balance, but you're split up into 3 different classes. Well, in 2nd grade, there's 2 different classes. There are 11 identified. What do you think the ratio is? So how many girls to boys do you think it is in 2nd grade? Just a guess.
I believe there are less girls.
You believe it's less girls?
Yes, because in other grades, that's how it's been.
But in your grade, it's balanced. We'll get this. Out of the 11 are boys. Yeah. So this is, these are conversations that we need to have, more girls to be recognized and taking a look at the challenges that it is for girls. Okay? Thank you. The girls mentioned physical aspects quite a few times, so it is evident that 2 of them, especially, know how dominant boys can be physically. As they hit middle school, the need for social acceptance outweighs everything, and it becomes more noticeable that girls feel boys are smarter than them. Girls are more reserved because they do not want to stand out and be noticed. Boys, on the other hand, at that age, want to be noticed, so they take more risk and more willing to accept mistakes. This is where research documents the decline in standardized test scores. Erikson's psychosocial development theory states that individuals go through different stages from birth until adulthood. The ages through school experience 2 stages. Industry versus inferiority at the elementary level stage is when a child develops the feeling of being competent or inadequate. As the kids advance to secondary schools, they experience identity versus role confusion stage, in which adolescents are trying to find themselves. Peer groups have a lot of influence on them during this time while they are trying to discover their identity. Gifted girls may mask their intellectual skills to be more attractive to boys, according to Post. These years are very influential in how they are reached, supported, and educated. Sometimes they are in a make or break emotional state, and it is imperative to be instrumental to guide them in a supportive but sensitive manner, as well as encourage them to use their talents. Complications based on this theory come into play under two circumstances. One would be where they do not successfully move through one of the stages and take on the negative aspect of the conflict. Second would be if they move through the stages quicker than their peers, and this is an example of asynchronous development of gifted students. So Kerr tells us about the Horner effect, in which it inhibits girls from succeeding because of the need to please others rather than compete with them. And then there's the imposter phenomenon, in which girls feel pressured to explain away their success since it goes contrary to social expectations and their own self-image. They contribute a lot of their achievements through luck. So I'm going to give you a small example of the sexism that takes place in our society. Pictured are going to be several men from past and present that represent our world of geniuses. First, Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. Albert Einstein, the renowned scientist. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple Incorporated. Da Vinci, great artist and creator. I'm sorry, that's Galileo. Then there's Da Vinci. So Galileo is the famous astronomer, and then Da Vinci we have up top as the great artist and creator. And that's a good representation of gender inequality. When the word genius is Googled, the definition is exceptional intellectual or creative power or other natural ability. These are the top genius people of all time, according to Finances Online, ranking 13th through the 1st. Charles Dickens, Raphael, Michael Faraday, Baruch Spinoza, Michelangelo, Desiderius Erasmus, René Descartes, Galileo, John Stuart Mill, Gottfried Leibniz, Isaac Newton, Leonardo da Vinci, and Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I probably mispronounced some of those, but women are tremendously underrepresented. Now, we can take into account that all of these men are from ancient times, and at that point, girls were not being educated, or if at all, was not to the proportion that the boys were. However, today, even though women are represented a small bit more, men still outnumber women remarkably. With that being said, here are suggestions to get started in changing the future for girls in our genius world. Early exposure and experience. Identification practices need to be revised. Ongoing differentiation and acceleration practices on a daily basis. Full engagement. Encouragement of extra activities outside of the classroom for the student to have more quality interaction and engagement with alike peers. That can be done on the weekend, summer, after class. Strong collaborative support from all members and advocacy through different avenues for the child, that through themselves, through their parent, family, counselors, teachers, and their friends. So our goal, girls need to be given equal opportunities to reach their potential. Changing gender differences only improves us as a whole. Future leaders should represent by gender equality for the greater benefit to everyone by bringing different characteristics and abilities to the table. I'm thankful for a movement on that right pathway to progress for girls. Thank you.